Hi guys, how's it going? So you joined me mid wrenching. I was experimenting. We had after the previous run we despite me putting in some rubbers, grommets inside the wheel there, inside the cup, we still managed to lose a drive shaft. But I did have the dog bones in there. Yeah, so that's a brush setup. So I can't say nothing there. So fair play. Brush setup. Lost the dog bone. My fault. I'll accept that. But we also ended up with a bent axle. And what I was experimenting with is whether or not a universal drive shaft here, like one of these, would fit, but no, evidently the when you put it back together, there's just too much. It's too compressed, and like when you do the nut up, it's too compressed and just doesn't spin freely enough, so it doesn't fit in the back, sadly. Just an idea. But something you want to be careful of when you take these out the front is these have a pin. Sometimes they're loose, sometimes they're not. I'd say 9 times out of 10 you take it apart and you'd never really have to give it a second thought. But yeah, it's just what you want to be careful of is just being a little obstinate git. Shut up, cat. Yeah, see? So there you go. Just be careful of the pin. Alrighty, so that's something to look for, but we're not going to use this one. This one's bent, so just going to disregard that. I've got these HD ones, and I'm also going to put one of my subscribers, one of my viewers suggested I put these behind some washers behind the hex that are the same sort of diameter as the hex, so because otherwise if you've got a small washer behind there, then there's like a little bit of a gap. So what happens is that little gap could be the reason that these bend so easily. So if you pack it out with some washers that are the same size, it's got nowhere to move. That's the theory. But I want to mention these quick. So people often say like, oh, how do you take these out? So they're quite simple. You just need a 3mm Allen driver, like so. These are my power tool tips. But what you don't want to do is just like unscrew it like a madman and then just drop it out and be done with. You need to count how many times, and you see like there's Aramex written there and 3. So if you was to go around like 1, just count that as 1. How many times do you go around and see that again? That's 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turns, so on and so forth. How many times do you see that to count how many turns basically you're unscrewing it? That will give you a rough idea of how many turns you need to put it back. Okay, so yeah, going forward, let's just take the shell off. Put the universal drive shafts, these are the HD ones, back in here. And what was left, I had 1 drive shaft missing, so 1 axle and 1 drive shaft I've put in the rear to save me buying a new lot. And what I have done also is I have moved the suspension out to the outer hole and moved it in one at the top there to try and give it a wider, sort of a bit more stability. I've done the same on the rear, so it was on the outer one, so I moved it to the middle one, and I moved the bottom. There's 2 on the bottom. It was on the inner one. I moved it to the outer one, so that sort of changes it from an upright position to sort of more of a leaned in position like that. So that's what I did with the suspension. And as you can see, we don't have droop screws in I don't think, no, we don't have droop screws in the bottom of this. So, but what it has done is stop these arms from coming down so far, which should help it to land a bit more flat, or keep flat at least, if we don't have such a long droop on the travel of the arms. I've also taken the time to adjust the toe in and toe out, rather, the camber and the toe in. So it was all over the place before. So yeah, so it's got negative camber. As you can see, there's like a bit of a gap at the top, so if you put it straight, as you come up, you can see there's like a few mil gap either side if it was straight 90 degrees. So yep, there's that, and it doesn't look it, but I've done the best I can with, you know, because if I extend these arms too much, you end up with the rods just on the tips, and you know, you end up with a bit of movement from the rod. So I've extended them to as best as I really could. We've got some toe-in going on there. You can't really see it too well, but it's not aggressive, but it's definitely better. And I've done the same with the rear. So as if you think of it straight, the top's leaning in a bit, like top's leaning in a little bit like that, and then the back, these from the side is the toe-in. You've got the wheels going in sort of a little bit like that. So that's what I've done with that, and also as a result of which I lowered the ride height. I mean, we've still got, I don't know, still got a good bit of clearance there, but it's lowered it. So you know, the lower it is, obviously the more stable it's going to be. But we can't have it. We can't make this like flat to the ground. And you know, it's a truck. It's a monster truck, so it's never gonna ride that flat. But you know, as long as it can ride a bit better than it was, that's the most important thing. So yeah, that's that. So thanks for watching again, and I'll catch you later. Cheers. Bye.